Hey,
Hey,
this is my musical episode.
I don't know. I got a new guitar though.
Oh, very nice, very shiny.
I thought it was kind of neat. It was literally yesterday. We were down in Modesto, and we were gonna go do a practice with the new drummer. His name's Travis or whatnot. We were in Guitar Center, and they were getting strings. I'm like, I need a 5-string
Th-
bass. That one looks nice.
And that, so is this for Nero Killers?
Nero Butcher.
Nero Butcher. Okay, yeah.
But yeah,
Now, is it on the because you guys like those Nero energy drinks, or because you don't like
I
metal?
literally called the band one time that drink because I just was like, "What's your band's name?" Oh, Nero Core. Oh wait, never mind. That's that drink. We're sponsored by Nero Core.
I
I
wasn't
like
sure.
those drinks. Have you ever had one of those drinks before?
No, no. I remember when I asked you, it's like, is it because of the energy drink, or is it because you didn't like playing as Nero in Devil May Cry 4?
I never mind Nero. Even though it felt weird, you're kind of like, you know what I'm here for. We all know what we're here for. We're here for Dante. But I guess that's the same thing we said in Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yeah, well, I think it was one of those things. Like I know because when I was showing you that when I first got that game and I was letting you play it, you borrowed it for a little while, and you're just kind of like, you know what? Like fuck this guy, this Dante looking motherfucker. Fuck you, did it? Just playing the game, and then when you actually got to the point where you switched off from him to Dante, you're like, you know what? He wasn't that bad.
I
Like
like that.
right at the end, like right at the end, like he's not that bad. So then you got so used to the grabby hand thing that he did. Like
Yeah.
man, Dante doesn't do the grabby hand thing. What the fuck?
What up, Dante? They had that special edition of Devil May Cry 5 that came out, I don't know, a couple months ago. It's like a download only on PS4 and whatnot. And I keep thinking about getting it because I never beat Devil May Cry 4. I think I played like, I don't know, half of it at your house, if that even, maybe.
I
But
think I
it's
think
the
I
only Devil May Cry I don't think I've played through all the way because I beat 1, 2, 3, 5.
Devil May Cry CW.
Yeah, C Dub 1. Still fun, but
CW is DMC CW.
yeah,
One sec.
DMCW.
We'll be right back. One sec. Just a split second.
Okay, if you're going away, I'm going to take a pee. I like we're literally like 2 minutes in the show. It's like, okay, let's take a break. Just like,
I thought you just edit that out because there was literally a part. It's like, okay, now Spencer's gone. I'm just like humming to myself for a minute. Like, oh, hopefully he edits this out. I wasn't sure if you were recording. I figured you
it's
probably were.
already recording, but
But
yeah.
no,
Welcome to the Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan, and before we get too far into it, I actually want to give a little bit of a share something someone shared with me. Someone of the name on Facebook, Drew Torres, actually sent us something on our Old Man Orange page, and sent us a video of a by a guy named this guy's a YouTuber. His name's Alpha Omega Sin. I saw a few of his videos before. It's basically one of those videos where it's a guy. It's kind of like a metal guy who's a big fan of anime and video games, like talking into a camera. And he has some interesting views here and there. But anyway, he had this video, and he's basically there's a guy in South Korea that for I could think for almost like 2 years, this guy was going into places stealing shit Metal Gear Solid style. Like he just throw a cardboard box in over him, walk into a place, steal some shit, and walk out. And they can never well, it's the infamous box stealer.
Wait, he was stealing boxes, or he was just coming in
He
as a
was
box
coming in a
and just like,
box. That
and
was
then
his.
and then somebody stops by and goes, "Huh?" Starts looking at, pokes it with a stick, "Huh?" and keeps walking. And the
What was
box
that
creeps on.
noise? Yeah. No, this dude literally showed Alpha Omega Sin. Literally, he showed footage on his site, on his video, of just somebody like wearing a box, just walking into a place, like grabbing a computer off a desk and then walking out. After hours, the place closed. So that was this guy's shtick. They have he'd just break in somewhere, be wearing a box over him, and like all the security cameras just catch this guy. And he was like, they wanted him for 2 years. Now he finally got caught a little bit ago.
Have you ever noticed in Metal Gear Solid that the box isn't really as good as it should be?
I thought it was almost more for a joke. I thought it was kind of one of those things like, here's, I thought it was almost like probably worked maybe back in Metal Gear Solid 1, only working a few spots. But then they just like, hey, remember this? It's almost kind of like the Dan Hibiki of Metal Gear Solid. It's not really worth anything, but it's kind of like you
You
feel
can't
weird.
have a Metal Gear without it, just like you can't have Street Fighter without Dan.
Ever since Street Fighter Alpha, it'd be kind of weird having, at least Alpha 3, it'd be weird having a Street Fighter game without Dan.
Yeah, well, it's kind
That
of
never
like because
made
that
sense.
box goes back to the very first Metal Gear game because that's how you like would fast transport.
Oh, okay.
But it is sort of one of those ones where the box, it's just like I remember like whenever using it in the game, it's if you didn't use the right one or something like that, the guard's like, "What the fuck's this box doing here? Kick it open! Oh, there's a guy in there! Shoot him!" And you're just kind of like, "Oh, okay." Like I think it is more of a comedic thing. You wish you could just kind of walk around, nobody would notice it, but people seem to be always wanting to kick boxes over.
I love the fact that you can kind of walk around the mother base in Metal Gear Solid 5 in a box and have like these armed trained killers boss. They'll walk by like, oh, it's just the boss. He likes to walk around in a box, you know. He just
Well, everybody says like that's the boss, man. He mastered the cardboard box. He passed that legacy on to his own sons.
well, that right there, the whole box thing, it would be like it would only be it could like work just once in a while in a weird spot. Like it would have to be over like if you went into like a storage room and there's already a bunch of boxes laying around, you'd have to be right next to one of their boxes in like the corner or something. You know, there's only like a few places you could actually use it where it'd be useful.
Well, you'd get a couple different boxes too, and each one would be marked for a different sector. But sometimes you wouldn't really remember what's what. So
But it could never be like blatantly in the hallway. Maybe like earlier ones, but Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3, it couldn't just be here's a
yeah,
box in the hall. It'd have to be like in
you're
a
right in front of the
room.
path of like where the guy was gonna walk anyways.
Yeah, you have to be like right in a room or in a corner or something like that. So, but no, it's more of just like, oh yeah, the novelty of it. But I wonder like Hideo Kojima's got to be a little proud. Like, wow, I like inspired somebody to go off and just do crime with the tactics of a character I created.
Now, did this guy get caught yet,
He
or is
got
he?
caught. Yeah, yeah. Then they showed like footage. I don't know if they showed his face, but they just showed like him being escorted. They have like a robe over his face, like he can't be seen, you know.
Be like, you like living in boxes, boy? Well, guess what? We're gonna put you in solitary confinement. It'll be like a giant, solid cardboard box that you can't escape.
I love how every figure of dominance or authority always has like a faint southern twang, even in like South Korea.
But it's sort of like in like the Boondocks, how no matter what job it is, it's always Uncle Ruckus working it. So you always expect to see somebody else, but then it's always like you hear that trombone. He's like, brum, brum, brum. Oh, I see you boys are here again. It's like he's working like 50 jobs. That's sort of like how I picture Drunk Batman, like or at least the voice of that, just like no matter where you are.
Ruckus ducks.
Well, it's just gonna like no matter where it is, like there's dominance. It's just gonna be the drunk Batman like motif's gonna show up and be like working that facility.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that. It's just a fun voice to do when it gets down to it.
Exactly, but well, it kind of in like I had like sort of like the Captain Republican week. Like I bought a new bass guitar, I bought an Xbox One because it was they dropped down to $300. I'm like hell yeah, give me that fucking Xbox One. But okay, the Xbox One like people were been putting it down since it kind of came out, and I would always kind of, even though I never really played it, I was always like, it's got Gears of War and all kind of good stuff's going to be out for it and whatnot. People are like, yeah, but it's got this problem, it's got that problem and stuff. I'm always kind of like, well, you just got to kind of accept those things. But I will say that the Xbox One, it is almost kind of like that friend that you have a hard time kind of defending. Like, you really want to make it across, and people give you all these reasons. You're like, I'm not too sure I'm supposed to defend that. Like, because it is kind of a cluster of a system. In fact, it's so much of a cluster of a system, it won't even play on my TV because it's 1080i.
Really?
They don't support 1080i because Microsoft believes, even though in the system, apparently, I read a bunch of stuff online, that it can, but they turn it off because they think that it, creates like blurring motion when things go really fast. And I'm like, dude, there's blurs in life.
So now, and you had to get a separate TV, or just put in a different TV in the house?
No, I literally bought went out and got like a monitor because I'm like, fuck it, I can use that as a second computer monitor once I'm done with it. But I'm like, I had to go out and buy something else just to play it. Like, what kind of bullshit is that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just because some of us have old school HD TVs because we just don't care to upgrade because they still work. Mm-hmm. I was like, they should put that on the front of the box because I didn't know that like until I got the system. It's like you plug it in, and it's just like, oh, it doesn't work on there.
I realized how behind times I was when I was like, where's the red, white, and yellow outlet? I realized that's when I was behind the times. So like, where the fuck is like? Oh, I got to get a special cord for this now.
No, I was actually looking for those AV cables because I'm like, well, fuck it. I don't want to spend like a bunch of money on a TV. Like, I'll just put it in standard definition. And like, I don't think they sell the AV cables for it. So it was like, crap. I guess I got to go get a little TV for it. But it's weird. It's like PS4 works fine, Wii U works fine, Xbox 360 works fine. Like, and then it's just sort of the other things. Like the menu system on the Xbox One is very like clustered. And then I don't know if you've turned your 360 on and hooked it up to the internet anytime soon, but they clustered that one up too.
With a bunch of ads and all that shit.
Well, that, and it's just like, a lot of the stuff was like fucking hidden. It was like, where the fuck? It took me like 10 minutes to figure out where the settings were. And I was like, oh, you gotta press start to find it? Like, why the fuck would I do that? Like, when has start ever done anything in the menu?
That's a good point. Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm always behind times on this kind of stuff. I might get an Xbox One in time because there are some games I'd like to get for it, and plus that, of all things, it kind of surprised me. Of all things to kind of like turn my interest to the Xbox, it's actually the newest trailer for Halo 5 Guardians. And which I always liked Halo, but I wasn't one of those people like, I gotta go get Halo Reach or I gotta go get Halo 4. I was never one of those like die-hard fans. I liked it. It never blew me away. But the newest trailer for Halo 5, like, oh fuck, that looks awesome. And
I know that one looks pretty sweet. I'm still kind of pissed. Once again, Microsoft being a cluster, they don't have co-op in the game, which is like kind of like some old bullshit there because okay, when you think of like a co-op couch game, like out of 5 games, would you say Halo's one of the first ones that comes to mind?
Well, it's one of the ones that made it popular, at least on the Xbox.
Yeah, I mean it's not the first one to do it because you had Perfect.
One of the main ones on the Xbox though to make it popular though.
And from that point on though, you mostly got everything else is sort of that way too. Gears of War was co-op. That Wolfenstein 2 on the first Xbox was co-op. Or Unreal 2 on the Xbox was co-op. There's like it created a spawn of all those, and then over time they've kind of nicked those games out. There's practically nothing that's co-op. Like I think on PS4 there's like one game. Like the Borderlands is like the only co-op shooter. I mean, there's a couple, like the Lego games or something like that you can play.
Well, you think that this one would be like, I'll say this because it's not that it made the game bad or anything, but it's like when you would play like Halo 1 and Halo 2, it would be like you're doing co-op. Oh, there just happens to be 2 Master Chiefs there and 2 Arbiters there. We don't really explain why. They just are. Where this one, it looks like you got 2 main characters there. I mean, maybe they changed this for Halo 3 or something.
Well, Halo 3, when they did that one co-op, you played as either the Master Chief or the alien.
Yeah. Where this one, it looks like, well, that makes a little bit more sense. And this one, it looks like what they're doing is they got like a whole cast of characters. It's like a squadron. So that seems like it would be perfect thing. So it wouldn't have to mesh with the story or anything like that. You could either be the new main character, or you could be Nathan Fillion, or if you're playing as, I don't know if you still play as Master Chief in this one, but yeah.
Wait, is Nathan Fillion in the 5th one?
He is. They did that mocap thing, and he's like part of the squad. Yeah.
Well,
he's not the main guy.
He was in the Halo ODST.
Oh, he was. Well, he's different. I think he might. I'm not sure if he's the same guy.
Oh no. Either that or Reach.
Halo 3 ODST, which is kind of like the expansion, right?
Yeah, I mean, the story-wise, it's just as long as a regular Halo, but it is kind of like an expansion pack. He was either in that one or he's in Halo Reach. I'm drawing a blank now.
I think now, I forgot about it, but I think now you mention it, I think I did hear he voiced a character for ODST, and that might be his character for this. He's doing the whole mocap thing, and he's basically playing like Nathan Fillion, the smart-ass like guy with quippy one-liners, with kind of has that Southern boy charm to him.
That's what he was in Reach or ODST. Boy, I'm trying to tell. Those are the only 2 Halos that I only played through like once. So
he always plays that character, but we all love that character, so he can keep on playing that character. Yeah.
No, I'll probably still get that Halo 5. It looks really cool. It does kind of bum me out that you can't play co-op on it. Because to me, that's sort of like, I almost feel like my PS4 is sort of my single-player game system. I kind of look at my Xbox One as being sort of the game that I'll get multiplayer stuff for because it's got Gears of War, and you'd assume Halo. I mean, obviously you got the Master Chief Collection that you can still play co-op, but...
So Halo, are they just like getting rid of the co-op? Is it just they're getting rid of the co-op option? Is there still online play and all that stuff? Or is
you still have online play stuff, but they did the same thing, just like the 1080i thing, where they go, well, it kind of makes it blurry, so we switched that off. They did the same like lazy ass excuse for like co-op. well, you got to bring down the resolution to put a second screen on there, so that's why we turned it off. Like, I don't think you can play 4-player multiplayer on it either, which is fucking retarded.
That almost sounds like that kind of shit where it's almost like I don't want to be like I just heard I mean he was kind of he was doing a little bit of shit talking, nothing that bad, but I like they had Robert Rodriguez on Mark Maron's podcast a little bit ago, and he was basically talking about he got to the conversation about film versus digital, and he says like, yeah, I'm gonna go digital because at the end of the day, I get to do more of this. Where a film, I feel like no offense to Quentin or anybody else that still loves film, but digital just makes it so much easier, and I get to focus more on this. So the second you start kind of coming in, it seems like what's that got to do with anything? But the second you start kind of coming in, like, yeah, well, we love our graphics so much, we're not gonna we're just gonna take away the option. That just seems kind of like too much in love with your own shit rather than just to like adapt with it, you know?
Well,
I guess those aren't entirely related right there, but I guess it kind of seems like in the form of like we could do this, which we just everyone maybe it's not what you'd prefer personally, but at least everybody gets it. Where this right here, it seems a little bit more of just like, yeah, well, we worked really hard on these graphics, and if it doesn't look the way we want it to, just no, I don't want no. Even though most people probably won't even notice.
Well, yeah. Here's the thing: whenever you played co-op with somebody else on Halo and all the other ones, it went down like a little bit, but it was never bad. The only game that that I kind of well, not the only game, but one of the games that always come to my mind when I thought that like the graphics did kind of suffer a bit, but it didn't make a difference, was Left 4 Dead. Because I remember the second you played Left 4 Dead, like in co-op, it looked like you were playing a PS2 game. It went from being like, "Hey, this looks really good," to being like, "Oh." But like, here's the thing: I don't care because you know what? I'm gonna play 10 times more Left 4 Dead with somebody else than I'm gonna play by myself because it's way more fun when you got somebody else to play with. And my other thing too, it's like, okay, if an N64 and a PlayStation 1 can do split screen, what's your fucking like? Why can't a system 3 generations later do it?
I think it's almost one of those things like, yeah, well, this is the now. Everybody's rich enough to have their own TV. They don't need a split screen. Maybe that's like the
poor
mentality.
Folks that have to like share a couch together and like be in the same room.
Like
smell each other's farts.
Like I said this before, like this example, like there is, I guess this shows a real kind of like generation gap between certain gamers. But there was like the review for Scott Pilgrim versus the World, or for versus the World video game, and the guy reviewing it, I believe it was an IGN review. He said like, oh yeah, the game is totally solid, this and that, and he complained about how you can't play online with your friends, which I can understand that. He says that means if you want to play a video game with your friends, you got to go to them, sit on the same couch, and breathe the same air as them. It's just like
it's so fucking hard to drive over to your buddy's house.
It's like one of those things. Like I can understand like that may be a little inconvenient, but it's like, really, is it one of those things like going and being social with a friend is that like much of a hassle? And then on top of that, it was like one of those things to me. Maybe he's intentional. I don't know, but the whole like Scott Pilgrim kind of like kind of romanticizes that whole 90s video game vibe, and that's totally a video game I could see being 12, going to your friend's house, having a bunch of Sega Genesis controllers tangled up and untangling them to play the game.
Yeah.
And just, it seems like a game that you would have played back then as a kid. So almost maybe he was trying to like ride off that nostalgia or try and present a similar experience. But then the second, like, no, fuck it, you can't play online, fuck this game. It's just like, oh my God.
And then like a year later, they put an update into it so you can play online.
Which I understand that, but it's still one of those, it's still just kind of cool just to, oh yeah, we're trying to make people sociable. It's already a very unsociable like activity, so try and make it as social as you can,
Well, that to me is like, I almost, unless I'm playing a single player game, when it comes to multiplayer games, and maybe this is why I've never really like caught on to the online games. There's the only game that I can think of, or just about maybe 2 games out there that ever captivated me enough to want to like really play online was just Gears of War and then Red Alert 2. So like there was a big gap between like time periods of what captivated me, but like other than that though, it's just, I don't know, it's like nothing beats having 4 friends over and playing 4-player split screen multiplayer, whether you're playing Time Splitters, Perfect Dark, Halo, even Call of Duty. Like that right there, that experience will outbeat any online one. no matter what.
I think for us, nothing beats it because
Everybody else is like,
we're
fuck
bringing
you, and you're like split resolution gaming.
there's that, and on top of that, I mean, I'm not trying to sound like an old man on his rocker, but we do kind of live
But
in
it
this
is the Old Man Podcast for a reason.
the old man orange podcast. Yeah, no, there we do live in this age though where we have you got kids who never really have to face anybody person to person, it's all just kind of like, you're a fucking loser. You're fucking gay, and your dog's gay, and your mom's gay.
Type.
Yeah, there's no repercussions to this. And then the second you put that person in a room with three other people, it's just they're either going to be too stupid to understand what the consequences are, or they're going to shut the fuck up, and it's not going to be fun. Like, your mom's a lovely lady.
Like in our time, when you want to call somebody a loser, you'd drive by their house and be like, hey, Jimmy, yeah, you fucking suck. Take off on your bike, pedaling away.
Doing a wheelie.
Yeah, because you're like, look how cool I am. Going down the street, got fucking like baseball cards stuck in your spokes so it sounds like an engine. See, where nowadays it's like, and I think that is it. I mean, this is totally like an old man video game rant, but I do feel that way. It's just kind of like, to me, it just seems like, okay, if you're gonna put all, like, okay, Halo's a perfect example. Okay, one of the biggest video game companies out there making a game right now. You probably got more money being spent on Halo 5 than almost any other game out there. So you're telling me, out of all the stuff you're doing, all this advertising, all this stuff, you can't get a couple guys to sit down and program in fucking split-screen multiplayer? Like, really? Is that hard compared to everything else you're doing? Is that really that difficult?
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things.
Yeah, some guy from Halo's like, yeah, it fucking is. Fuck off. Chimed out.
I think it's a combination of things. I could literally see. I mean, we're just not the young generation anymore. We're not the younger. No. So it's really one of those.
We're not the people that games are made for anymore. Isn't that sad to think about anymore? Like, we're at that point in life where people are like, we don't fucking make shit for you.
Well, I don't mean it that way. I think it's more of like, how do I put this? I think they still do make shit for us because we still are a demographic for a lot of major video games. Because now, rather than even, I mean, you got your kid market. Before it was all kid market, and then it got older and older. Now the biggest range for video game buyers are people between the age of 16 to 35, I think. So, and that's people.
And I think that also too, it's like once you get to our age, we're the ones that have the money, because in a sense, when I was a kid, I could never own an Xbox One, PS4, and Wii U.
Exactly.
But now it's like you got money because you're an adult and you don't have time, but you at least got money.
Yeah. There would be that thing when you were a kid, you would there was that one kid who had more than, maybe he didn't have all the systems, he had more than one system, and that just blew your fucking mind. And then maybe there'd be other kid who had all right, well, his brother had a PS1, he had an N64, and then then the other brother had a Sega Saturn, so there'd be that weird, but the one kid that had all three systems that were his
to himself,
that would blow your fucking mind. And I haven't really had that. I only had that once, and that was back in late high school, because I had a PlayStation 2, a GameCube, and then the Xbox. And the GameCube I got for Christmas.
You're like, I am king of the world.
Yeah, exactly. Then
I am never excluded from any exclusive anymore.
Exactly. And then the iceberg that is some asshole breaking into my house, stole all my shit, came by. And then but since I had a job at the time, granted it wasn't a lot of money, but when you're in high school, that's all you're going to spend your money on is just shit you want. So
you literally have nothing else to pay for.
Yeah, and I saved up to get a PlayStation 2 and a Xbox, and yeah. So that was one of those things, the first time ever, I was like, oh my God, I can get whatever the fuck I want. Now I am back at the point, though, where I'm right now the only current gen system I have is a PS4. And before that, I did have a Wii and an Xbox, but my Wii's still in a box. I got to take it out of the box. I brought it with me, but I've not removed it ever since I got here. And then the Xbox just fucking died on me, so I'm considering getting an Xbox One. We'll see what happens. But you're sure as shit not selling it, from what you're saying.
I'm not. It's one of those ones I still think, because here's the thing. When Xbox One releases Gears of War 4, to me, that is the pinnacle of all exclusives. I will say in the last 10 years, Gears of War is my favorite franchise or favorite new franchise. Like I look forward to that almost as much as I look forward to, a new Zelda, Castlevania, and Resident Evil. Like that's how much I like Gears of War. And it's weird because I'm not really the biggest first-person shooter or shooter fan in general, but something about Gears just captivates me more than anything else. And I think it's a combo of like I like the characters and the story a lot, and then on top of, did you just blind yourself with coffee?
Yeah, I was drinking. The splashback just stopped me in the fucking eye.
So fucking hot.
It's actually kind of lukewarm by this point, so it's not that bad. Okay, go ahead.
So it's like, because like I bought the Xbox One mainly. I knew that Gears of War was going to come out. I wanted that Gears of War 1 remake. And then Halo was like, Halo's one of those things that won't sell me a system, but once I have it, it's like, sure, I'll get Halo. Why not? The only downfall is just a co-op thing. It's just, to me, like, that's the best experience I have now. But then again, Cameron told me, he's all like, well, good. He's like, if you get it, because we both have Xbox Ones now, we can play over online. It's like, oh, yeah. Same. I guess I could do that. Sure.
It's just not, you just put your hand on his shoulder, because I know we're both just a little older than Cameron. Now you just put your hand on his shoulder. Son, it's just not the same. Trust me when I say.
Well, it's funny, because when he said that, because then like I kind of responded, I'm like, or you could come over to my house and bring your Xbox One and the TV too, and we can play it that way. Like, civilized people.
Says that's for fucking old people.
It's for old people. Grams, go back and play your fucking bass. Oh, okay.
No, Cameron's a good kid. I like
him. No. He's like the nicest guy in the entire world. But sometimes it is one that's like, oh, yeah, I guess. Because, like, yeah, we're the only ones that got Xbox Ones. The one thing I did notice now is now, going back, like back in the day, there was that kid that would have them all. Now I feel like I am the superior one to all my friends because nobody else has a Wii U, pretty much.
You just drive by. There'd be the kid that did have all three. You just drive by his like apartment now. He says like, "Who is the dominant one?" Like, is that fucking Spencer? Who is the dominant one?
Is he doing wheelies on his bicycle with baseball cards in the spokes?
That's fucking Spencer from like, honey, who is it? No, it's just some guy I went to school with. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Like, are you okay, man? I got all three! That's great. The Trinity! Awesome. Yeah, Zelda. Cool. Later. Just slams the door. Call the cops. Call the cops.
Because it's just one of those ones. It's like that kind of classic 10-year-old thing that will never go away. I mean, you could be 80 fucking years old. And as long as you have the Trinity of systems, because most of them don't make any more than 3, You do feel like you got some kind, like you're never excluded. You get them all.
Atari.
I can get Tomb Raider, Rise of whatever the fuck it is before anybody else can because I got them all. Fuck you. And guess what? I can get Star Fox Zero and Uncharted 4. What are you gonna do about it?
And some like little rich kids like, well, my parents gave me that for my birthday
like,
and
fuck
Christmas.
That. I had to work really hard for that. I had to climb under somebody's house to get that fucking system.
And pull out a dead possum to plug some shit in.
Yeah, I had to fight off a couple possums just to get the money to get that crap.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah, I mean, I don't have as much drive as I used to. I still have not beat Metal Gear Solid 5. Maybe because I know how it ends, it's not as urgent to me.
Did I tell you already that like that game kind of fucks you over at the very end?
I already knew it fucked you over without you telling me, because like I said earlier, I saw something on Twitter that kind of like was a little like, it's just a little like comic strip, like, oh, Metal Gear Solid comic strip. I click on it, just a funny little comic strip, like, oh, that just spoiled the ending for me. Then I saw them Rage Select. I like their podcast, and they have like a Metal Gear Solid spoiler exclusive. I was just like, fuck it, whatever. I gotta, so I just listened to it, and I'm just like, oh, really? Okay. So I still gotta get to it, but I know the big twist, and I know that it kind of leaves you hanging, and there's like, if you got the special edition, there is like a Blu-ray that kind of has an extended ending and all that. So,
well, no, it's that thing that like, okay, you have to beat those stupid replay extreme levels, the hard ones, just to get that final little video, which is fucking retarded.
Yeah, fuck that.
I got kind of like the regular ending, and then I was just like, I just don't want to be frustrated, like to get the fucking ending. I feel you put hard levels in there for like a challenge mode or something like kind of secondary, not for the main one. Plus, for the fact that it's the same missions you already played before, just harder, which is fucking stupid.
Yeah. And then there's the, it's kind of like the whatchamacallit, like I have no problem. Before there was this weird sense of kind of, actually, before we get too far into this, I just want to speak on something that was kind of funny regarding Metal Gear Solid 5 and sort of the spoiler kind of thing. There was, and I'm not gonna. We usually will spoil the fuck out of something, but this is a pretty big spoiler, so I mean we won't even talk about it. I haven't really got to the end of the game yet, so I can't really talk about it in detail. I just know what happens. But I remember it was like probably like 4 podcasts ago, maybe. I was just every once in a while I'll just go on our YouTube page and just check, because I notice chances are if you're talking to us on Facebook, you're talking to me. If you're talking to us on Newgrounds or YouTube, you're talking to Spencer. So every once in a while, I'll just go check the comments. And you were having a conversation with RJ Reviews, and he says, "How does Ryan just sit through these like spoilers?" And then you just said, "He just does that." Just like just the fucking image that came to mind. I don't know why.
He's got no control over it.
I just like, as if like, I don't know, just like, "Hey Ryan, here's spoilers," and I just sit there with just this vacant look in my eyes, just soulless, just like slack jaw, like, okay. Just like he can't control it. I guess I just don't care enough, RJ Reviews. I just don't care enough. Man, I like stuff, but I just don't really care enough to, like, no, don't tell me. I'm like, I'll find out eventually, unless it's something I really, really don't want spoiled, and it's Metal Gear Solid, so there's spoilers within spoilers whenever you talk about that. But
I love how Metal Gear Solid. I will say this though, like that has given us content to talk about for fucking 2 months almost. Hell, I haven't even played the game in like a week and a half, and we're still talking about it. It's just one of those ones. It's this weird thing. I know we said it before. It's kind of like I really like that game, but I also just don't think it's like the greatest game all at the same time. And the weird thing too is that game got really high reviews.
It did. I think it did the thing where a lot of video game companies have been doing lately, where it's just like, oh wait, so there's people that think the story is too much and they don't want these cutscenes. They want more of a gameplay based video game rather than a story based video game. Let's listen to those people. I think it's one of those kind of things.
Well, the weird thing too is like, and Metal Gear Solid fans are like mixed. Like I talked to Josh Bullock, which he's been on the podcast a couple times before, and he's like, I think of him as like, every friend. There's like that one game that's like to them it's like the biggest thing. Like I always think of him. He's always been the Metal Gear Solid guy. I think of like RJ, always been the Resident Evil one. Even though I'm just gonna say this, I think I'm the bigger Resident Evil fan by this point, though. Even though I don't have tattoos of it.
That's fighting words.
It is, but he
has the umbrella.
The last couple games, he hasn't really been into, and he didn't buy the last one. So I'm like, I don't know. Don't think he was a bigger Resident Evil fan. Didn't pick up the last game came out. Just saying. So I don't know. I think I'm taking the mantle, but there's always just those ones. So him. And I asked him because we finally got to sit down and talk about Metal Gear Solid. I was like, "What do you think?" He was like, "It's fun, but it's just not a Metal Gear Solid to me. It's just not the same."
That's how I felt.
And then, but I had talked to some other people who've played through all the Metal Gear Solid games before, and number 5 is their favorite one. Somehow, some way, it really captivated them. It's hard to take that guy's opinion serious, though. No.
Well, let me put it this way, because it sounds kind of contradictory this way. I think number 5 has like some of the best. I mean, it's going to sound so weird and so because I mainly play a video game for like gameplay and how fun it is, and if it has a good story, awesome. But it's Metal Gear Solid 5. It has like some of the best gameplay in a Metal Gear Solid game. But truth be told, Metal Gear Solid is one of the few examples where I wanted more of a story than a game. So I think that right there, the fact that we got this, it's almost kind of unrecognizable as Metal Gear Solid in some facts. I mean, I know it is, but spoilers for like, what ends up happening to what Snake is and all that. That right there already puts a big dent in it. Like, oh wow, that's really different. I wasn't expecting that. And then I'm talking about Venom Snake for this particular game. Mm-hmm. And then the fact that this is mostly a cast of characters. I mean, as far as I can tell, most of the characters are new, or they're so like it's a prequel and they just got different people playing them and they're like presented differently. They're like, even though I know that's Revolver Ocelot, I have trouble knowing that's Revolver Ocelot,
Yeah.
I have trouble seeing that as Revolver Ocelot. Master Miller, even though I know he's a Metal Gear Solid character, he's more of one of those characters that you kind of heard of and you kind of know. I never played Peace Walker, but I know
he's a big character in Peace Walker.
And he just seems so he's kind of like, okay, I know of that character. And the second of Metal Gear Solid 1, when like he says like Snake's like, Master Miller, hello Snake, and just like, that's
it's your brother.
I just knew from the get-go that was Liquid. I'm like, that's the same fucking voice actor. I can tell. It's just like, hello, Snake. Did you like my sunglasses? So I thought that I don't know, this one. It's like some of the best gameplay. It's just the story is not as much there, and the whole thing was. I think Quiet. She's like fun. She's good person to have on your team and all that. I think they could have done a better job with her story because it just sounds like something a horny 14-year-old made up. Well, you see, she can't wear clothes because she has photosynthesis. So the more clothes she has on, that she can't breathe and she'll die. So it's like one of those.
She's also like one of the only female characters, other than the few that get recruited by Big Boss.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I'm not trying to like. We mentioned Quiet several times. I'm not trying to go on there and try like cause like this whole anti like Quiet like regime against the game. Like she doesn't really bother me that much, but it's just one of those things where it's like, oh boy, this is gonna be so fucking hard to defend against certain people. Okay, it's like what you said, like what you said about like Xbox One. Like it's that friend that kind of says something stupid when everyone else is around. Metal Gear Solid 5 kind of has some of those things, and Quiet, like she's a cool like buddy to have that takes out a lot of the enemies, and she works good and all that. And I think the concept of a beautiful assassin who only hums and doesn't talk is kind of cool. But the fact just come up with some other aspects of her that like so she can teleport, but she could be wearing clothes in the process, right? That way I don't have to try and defend it to all like female gamers and all that,
Yeah, even though I will say like she technically once you get her and start using her, like she makes that game so much more fun, like as a buddy. Except for now, I don't have her anymore, so it's just kind of like, okay, D-Dog, you want to help me try to take out a really fucking hard Metal Gear? D-Dog's...
Does she die or something?
No, she leaves, and then you got to finish off the rest of the game without her, and you're like, oh. But before, I used to just lay down and take a nap, and she did the work, and now you're telling me I got to pull out my rocket launcher and finish things? Oh, fuck.
It's kind of like in Mario Sunshine when they suddenly took away the jetpack.
You got so used to playing with it that all of a sudden it's like you played Mario 64, but for some reason with that jetpack away, it was like it made those platforming levels so fucking hard.
Yeah.
Mario Sunshine's one of those games I wouldn't mind going back and playing that sometime soon. I think I've been thinking about it for like the last 2 years because I haven't played it. I haven't played it since it probably came out, and it's just one of those ones I'm like. Because they kind of said before, even though I think this was just some internet rumor, but they were going to do kind of like what they did with the Wind Waker, where they did a little HD remake of that game. I'm like, that would be pretty sweet if they did that, even if it's just a download or something like that.
One I'd like to see. Mm-hmm. I'd like to see like a Mario game that was a little bit more of a... I don't know. Some people are going to say, you shut the fuck up once I say this. But a Mario game that was a little bit more adventure-based and not so much more level-based. Kind of almost like a Legend of Zelda kind of thing. And because, I love Mario. It's one of my favorite franchises. It's actually what got me into video games, really. Super Mario World was. But after a while, it seems kind of like, even though the levels and the gameplay and the design is very technical and a lot of thought goes into it, it almost more, you're going down these weird, crazy obstacle courses of just floating blocks in weird, just patches of grass in random spots. And it's kind of one of those things I like it. It's really fun, but I think it'd be kind of cool to see it more of like the Mushroom Kingdom's an actual world, and you have more of like different different natural, I guess, you could still have some of the usual Mario tropes like giant mushrooms and whatnot, but just find a way to kind of make obstacles out of things that looked like they were there naturally. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Like Mario 64. I mean, there were levels that would just be random platforms, but there were still like Bomb Bomb Battlefield. That looks like, okay, there's a trail here, that looks like a natural air. It's not natural, but you know what I mean? It looks like something that, it looks like a world. It doesn't look like just a jumble of just an obstacle course.
No, it's totally grounded.
Yo, man, show them these goddamn headphones. Didn't make them this way back in my day.
No, but what you're saying with Mario, though, this is really... Mario RPG, I think, is a perfect example of that. And to quote Nintendo Power in 1996, when they said, they're like, it shouldn't almost even be called Mario RPG, because this game is just full of so much action and adventure in it. But what I liked about that game, I mean, the battles were turn-based, but when you were running around, I mean, you were in a real world, you were jumping on platforms, you were still doing all kinds of stuff like that, but it was all logical. Mm-hmm. And that's the one Mario game, I'm like, if they just made a real sequel to that, because Paper Mario doesn't really count. Paper Mario's fun, but it's it's like, it was kind of it was one of those games where it's kind of like it felt like an insult to anybody who was like a Mario RPG fan, because it felt like Mario RPG almost feels like an adult game as far as Mario can go. You get Paper Mario and it's just kind of like, what? Like I can't count past 10? Like it's that sort of thing. Like
eventually it goes up to 50.
yeah, but like, Mario RPG was going up to 999. So there's those sort of things. In that game itself, even if it didn't have like the turn based to it, if it just kind of played like you ran around and jumped and all that kind of stuff, that game would almost be like the adventure version of a Mario game where you just kind of go around a world and go to different locations and so on. Because I think that's what they got to do. Because Mario, they've kind of, don't get me wrong, I like a lot last Mario games. I really enjoyed Super Mario Maker. But they're kind of just doing the same old platforming stuff over and over again instead of trying to innovate like a Mario RPG or a Mario 64. Realistically, I think that Mario 64 was the last big innovation of Mario. The rest of them, they've been fun. Like, I mean, I guess Mario Sunshine, that kind of goes in a completely different direction, too, with the jetpack and everything. And I really like Mario Galaxy. But almost to take it just that one step farther again.
Even though I think Mario Land was one of the funnest Mario games I played in a while. Well, Mario 3D Land, I should clarify. Mario 3, like
yeah, because when you said Land, I was like, don't get me wrong, I love me some Mario Land too. But he's like, that was the 1990 was the or 1989 was the last time they did Mario right.
No, the Mario 3D Land for the DS. That was like, I haven't played the one for Wii U, which I hear is amazing.
It's really good.
The one for the 3DS, that was the last one that really I had a lot of fun with. But plus that, it was kind of cool. They brought the shrinking back and all that kind of stuff, which I haven't seen in a Mario game in a while. Never in a 3D Mario game either. But it was one of those things where that's where I think it was actually Super Mario Galaxy where it just started becoming this weird obstacle course of just spheres in space and just random platforms and all that stuff. And I just like to see more of a logical looking kind of world again. I mean, a fantasy still. I'm not saying Mario, like Chris Nolan's Mario, not that. But I mean like a logical looking world that makes sense,
Yeah, why are these platforms here,
I don't need a whole giant like explanation of how. I just need like, okay, so you could have a couple random floating platforms here and there, but it just this is a landscape. That's a planet over. That's a castle over there. There's
still
desert.
Ground below you at some point. It's not like you're just falling to your God knows where death.
Yeah, it's like, for instance, I go to like what's like near the end of like the other one, the of Mario. I remember somewhere in like Mario 3D Land, I go to battle Bowser's. Like I'm near the end. It's like, this is the fire zone. There's fire everywhere. Dude, so spooky, so scary. And I go to this one level. There's fucking trees. There's trees. There's no fire, nothing like that. There's random trees. I don't know. It was like one of those things. It was like the one level out of place among this like lava land or whatever. And it wasn't not even like lava land. It was more like, it was supposed to be themed like these are the harder levels kind of thing. I mean, there's lava and there's a lot of tones of gray and there's this one spot. Oh yeah, there's trees here. So, but
they need to bring back the world style where like you go here and these are all aquatic levels. You go here, these are all cave levels. You go here, these are all forest levels and so on. Because a lot of times, you go, oh, okay, I'm in the snow level. And then you're like, you're on a beach and it's sunny and warm. And you're like, oh.
Within the same level, yeah.
Do I fight a snowman at some point? No, you fight a cactus. Oh, okay. And it's snowing on the world map, but for some reason, I'm at a beach level. Yeah, and the sun chases you.
It's Mario. You're going to fucking love it.
Yeah,
you already like it. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I like all these Mario games, and at some point you gotta try the Mario Wii U World, whatever fuck.
When I get a Wii U,
it's like if you like the Mario Land 3DS one, it's like that, but even more expanded.
My thing is, I just want to try and beat Metal Gear Solid 5 first, and then by that point, I know Fallout 4 is going to come out.
Yeah, by that point, Fallout will be out, so it'll be like, what the fuck else
so
you do with 5?
Get a Wii U. I need to get a Wii U and like just at some point, just pay. I mean, I'm guessing most Wii U games you could probably beat pretty quickly. Most of them are just like fun games that you'd just kind of crank out. But I got to finish those ones first.
I know. I just like that's the only downfall. I've created this humongous stack. The rival both my comic and my movie stack of shit that you'll never be able to finish.
All right. I actually thought of something a little bit ago. Speaking of comics, kind of comics and video games still related. Now, this is going to be kind of one of those total like nerd, like One will be a cool game to me, where a lot of people suddenly lose interest, and that may happen. So I apologize to our audience if you do lose interest. But I've been reading a lot of Flash lately, as well as catching up on the TV show on like Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And one I was thinking would be a pretty fun game.
A Flash video game?
Sort of.
No.
More of.
I was thinking of like a Hawkeye video game.
Why are you gonna bring up fucking Flash? I was gonna talk the Atom. Fuck the Flash. No. Actually, no, not the Flash. Actually, a Rogues game where you orchestrate different kind of like the Grand Theft Auto like heist system. You try and plan out a heist. There's different ways to go about it, different approaches, and you can kind of put together your team. You got you got the Rogues Gallery. It kind of builds up as it goes on. You could probably pick your team of 4 to 5 guys, something like that.
So you
have,
now is this just Flash villains, or would this be
Flash
like
I guess
you could throw in some Batman and Green Arrow and so on villains? More,
I think I'm
thinking more like all the realistic villains, not necessarily the guys that have like superpowers. Not like you're gonna play as like Doomsday or something like that. But
Doomsday just comes in, just like, where's the fucking what's Doomsday want robbing this fucking bank? Where is it? You know.
But what I'm thinking is just like you play as either Captain Cold, maybe
I was
Captain
Flash.
Boomerang. You could also play as
Trickster, Weather Wizard.
Yeah.
Heat Wave. Yeah. No, I think.
But maybe even some like other like Green Arrow ones like Merlin and.
Maybe you could. Yeah, I was thinking.
I
mean, it's not going to happen because Flash isn't big enough to have his own game yet, so his villains definitely aren't big enough to get there. They may get there one day, but I think like.
Well, slap Batman on it, then you can sell it.
Yeah, like make it like Flash and Batman villains. No, I mean, I think I was thinking just Flash villains, just keep it Flash centric. But if you want to throw in a couple like random other DC villains,
well, here's how you could sell it. It could be a spin-off of Arkham Asylum, but what you do is instead you're playing in Central City, and maybe like you throw some Batman stuff in there. Maybe like Two-Face is one of the main ones because he's a realistic villain. And it's just kind of more of those ones. And what you are doing is you're planning just different heists and so on. And then you battle, and then along the way, maybe you battle things like Batman and Flash and Green Lantern and other like those are almost sort of like your bosses are the other ones, but it's, played from the other side. Yeah,
I was thinking it was something that'd be pretty cool. Or you have like a set time just to keep it simpler. That'd be for the sequel. Keep it simpler. You just have to get you have like a certain time frame of when Flash can show up, and when Flash shows up, you have a very, very slim chance of like getting away, but you can still get away. But it's one of those things when you have like a budget, you can't go over budget for planning your heist. Like if the risk has to meet the reward, something kind of like that, and you can get, your guys can get taken out, but they get hospitalized, so you can't use that guy for the next mission or two, something kind of like that.
Yeah, so it's kind of like Star Fox when you shoot Slippy down accidentally. You could accidentally shoot down like Heat Wave accidentally, like fuck.
Exactly, and like you could like
switch off. No, why does it sound like Slippy? I don't know. That was the voice actor that was available for the time.
like Heat Wave. I need you to watch out for those pedestrians over there. Gotcha, Captain Cold. I'm gonna burn you.
Just like, well, Star Fox Zero was placed on hold. It seems all the voice actors need another job. Do a barrel roll, Captain Cold.
That'd be awesome. I'd play for that. Yeah, just all like Star Fox characters. Yeah. No Star Fox voice actors. No, I think that'd be a cool game.
As good as mine. Okay, Captain Boomerang. I thought you were gonna have an Australian accent. Fuck you.
Your father helped me out like that too. Oh, you knew like that would be who would that be? That would be like Weather Wizard. Weather Wizard's Peppy.
No, but I think that would be a really kind of cool style of game. I think the only way you could really sell it is just saying it's a spin-off of Arkham, but then you can use that to progress into a Flash. It's like you use Batman to sell as always. Slap Batman you got a funky comic you want to sell? Slap Batman on the cover.
Pretty much. Well, what you could do is you could just this is the waiting game, all right? You just got to wait till the Flash show is going to get bigger. Let's hope the movie does pretty well, and then assuming that Jai Courtney does a good job as Captain Boomerang in Suicide Squad, that could help. Mm-hmm. So,
poor Jai Courtney. Nobody ever seems to like him, though.
No one does seem to like him. I want to give him a chance he wasn't really the best. I didn't really like him in Die Hard 5, and he wasn't really a great. I mean, at the time I saw it, I was like, oh, whatever, Kyle Reese, you know. But I'm like, didn't really seem like Kyle Reese to me. The more I think about it, I'm just like, whatever. But I mean, hopefully, Captain Boomerang will do a good job because I really do like that character, and I think he could play. I think he could do a good, just good in the way how he's played other characters. I can see him as a good Captain Boomerang, you know.
Yeah, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. I'm not gonna like, kick him in the corner or something like that. But
And plus, he's like I think he's an Australian actor, so he's naturally I think he's Australian or New Zealand.
so he's doing the right thing.
So he doesn't have to put on an American accent or nothing like that. So that's one less thing he has to worry about. You know, well, that's probably it sounds like I'm defending him right there, but to him it probably sounds insulting. Like, fuck you, I can do an American accent better than you can do an Australian accent. Like, oh, okay, you're probably right.
hey, I'm the only one defending you. Everybody else wants to kick you in the balls, so don't be fucking around with the guy who's actually giving you some credit here.
No, but I mean, I hope he does a good captain. I hope he does do Captain Boomerang because that's one of my favorite Flash villains. Though I would prefer it, even though I get they're trying to go with good-looking, muscular Captain Boomerang. I would like to see him get to like washed out, fat,
balding, but he's still got the ponytail,
like beer belly, like fucking Captain Boomerang. And then when he dies, then it gets passed on to his son Owen, which I can see this possibly not even being like original like Boomerang. It's just being Owen, his son. So
yeah. Well, really, after playing the Arkham Asylum games, like all I can really think about is like they just need to do this formula with other superheroes. Now, I heard that there was that Captain America game that came out 5 years ago or something by now. I remember just reading the reviews on it, and everybody said it's like, yeah, it plays a lot like Arkham Asylum. I'm like, well, that's pretty sweet. And I always wanted to play that one, just once again, like many other games.
The Captain America like movie tie-in.
I think it was a movie tie-in one. It came out during I want to say the first one because it wasn't the second Captain America movie. But I heard good things about it. Like it had like 4 out of 5 stars and so on, pretty much on Amazon. And that's what they said. Played a lot like Arkham Asylum. But when you play that game, you're like, in a sense, for like the next Arkham one, since they kind of ended the Batman one, but the cool thing to do and the easy progression is to make the next one like one where you can play as other DC characters, but make them similar to Batman. So play as like Green Arrow. Because that wouldn't be that hard to incorporate him into it. But what I'd like to see, too, is them going to a point where you could play as the powered superheroes. So you could play as, Superman and make the game kind of like that. But instead it's, Metropolis that you're kind of defending and so on. And I know Superman, like, in video game world, it's always been, like, people think of Superman 64, even though there's been multiple Superman games after that have done, like, fine. But it always goes back to Superman 64, no matter what. Like... And personally, I never thought that game was like, people make it out like that's one of the top 10 worst games of all time. Like, that is not that bad of a game, like, to be top 10. Like, there are some other, like, really broken games out there. But still, like, think about it. Would that be sweet to play an Arkham Asylum-like game, but instead you play Superman, and, you're in Metropolis, and you're, defending it from Brainiac and Lex Luthor and everybody else?
I think what you'd have to do with Superman, you'd have to like kind of build up a little bit. I think you'd probably have to start off like you get blasted with something, you kind of lose your powers to some of your powers, not all your powers, but you have to kind of like build up certain powers to get past through certain obstacles, kind of thing. I don't think it should be all so dark and brooding.
Well, no. Obviously, it would be.
It could have the same kind of aesthetic look, so we know
what I'm saying though is this, like it plays like not like necessarily it's obviously dark and things like that. That's Batman. But just in that thing where like you're in Metropolis now, but you got kind of all Superman's powers and so on. And, the gameplay would be a lot more based on like flying around, fighting instead of like it'd be like Dragon Ball Z, I guess, more than anything else.
I think it would be kind of like maybe like a more fine-tuned like Zone of Enders kind of thing,
Yeah, something like that even. But like also it's like you could do the same thing with Flash and so on. I mean, the easy progression would be to use the realistic characters. Like, who are you playing as in this one? Well, maybe it's like a Batman Brave and the Bold one, and you can play as also it's Batman, Green Arrow, and fucking Vigilante.
That's why I think the Rogues. That's why I think the Rogues would have to be good for this kind of thing. I think that you could easily
because all those guys would just be like you could have them all play like Batman. But instead it's like okay, here throwing a boomerang, here's got a freeze gun, here he's got so on. You have Merlin. Well, I think you have a bow.
It'd be kind of like you have like 4 characters. You have like a team of 4 to 5 guys you can switch between. They could be at different, positioned at different areas. Like do something like okay, so while like you're doing like a small heist over here as a distraction to take out, you're doing a small heist over here as a distraction. to like bring, while like on one side of town to bring Flash over there while you're on the other side of town robbing the bank kind of thing, or something to that effect.
Exactly. You switch back and forth. Because I really
You can
think
switch.
like the next thing they should do in an Arkham Asylum one or whatever they're going to do is they should have it so you can switch back and forth between characters throughout the game. The latest one they kind of had it where you could like, okay, Nightwing's here, you can go back and forth and switch between him, or Catwoman's here, you can go back and forth. But like one where it's like, hey, almost if you want to play all the missions as Nightwing, you could.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they've always been kind of. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, well, I'm already over here trying to throw in other superheroes. What they really could do first and foremost with the next Arkham one is that you can play as Batman, Batgirl, Robin, Nightwing, just all the main Bat family characters, Red Hood, and just you got all 6 of them together, and that's who you kind of switch back and forth between. But I think it'd be cool if they threw it why not just throw Green Arrow in there? Because then you could throw some Green Arrow villains in there. You could throw Black Canary in there too, and trying to think of some other ones that maybe even if characters like Flash, maybe he has an appearance in there or something like that, and start actually working into the rest of the Justice League.
I think would that be their opener? Basically you got some kind of I think the next one, because each game they almost seem to hint at what's coming up, and this one they talked about. There's I was in Central City and this blur just went by. You hear one of the thugs say that, or you hear someone talk about Metropolis,
or Lex Luthor calling Batman.
Lex Luthor calling Batman on the answering machine, and LexCorp literally being right across the street from Wayne Tower is the major fuck you. But Batman's like, put another fucking story on mine as long as it's taller than fucking LexCorp, But it's one of those things where I bet that they are probably looking to go more into the DC universe, because each game they always do have a little bit of teasing of what's to come, and I think that right there is one of them. I bet we probably will get in some form or another these other characters, and plus you had Queen Industries somewhere right in the middle of Gotham.
Yeah.
So we will probably see more of that stuff in the upcoming games, but I bet what's going to happen first is I could see them doing something kind of to the effect, because what's something that people really like to see in all crossover things? What's the first thing the superheroes do the second they cross over?
They fight.
They start punching.
Which funny is the weirdest thing is myself, I'm just not the biggest fan of that. I personally actually like when Batman and Superman are the best of friends. Sometimes that Frank Miller one where he's just fuck that guy, he's a fucking retard. I'm so smart. I went back because they had a sale on Comixology, and I was and they had All-Star Batman and Robin on sale. I'm I haven't read that in a long time. And I forgot, too, that also that thing just ends. With no conclusion.
There is it has gone on, it has continued. They just okay, let's just wrap this up real quickly. Because originally it's called something else. I don't remember what it's called. But it's it was one of those things where it came out, people are going to fucking love this. Frank Miller back doing what he fucking does with Jim Lee.
Lee drawing, because his drawings are the fucking shit.
It's going to blow your fucking mind. And then it came out, people are this is disgusting. This is sad. This is what the fuck happened. And they're fuck. Well, we'll talk to you later. And they just kind of left it on hiatus for a few years, and they came back with it. And they had 6 issues that concluded that story.
I gotta figure out what that's called, because I got the 10 issues or whatever of that one, and it just kind of leaves off. I think the Commissioner Gordon's the last section of it. And it's just we got to go find out what's going on. I was oh fuck, that's it already. I was I forgot it.
And Joker confronts Catwoman, yeah, I got a job for you or whatever. And then Batman's there was no time to mourn. There was no time to mourn. Hugging Robin right at the gravesite.
Yeah.
So, I mean, no, don't get me wrong. Here's the thing about that book.
I actually like that one quite a bit. I think that there's small elements in it that I think they're kind of a little weird. But I just kind of go, that's Frank Miller. It's he just does shit that nobody else does. He's kind of got almost he kind of like an old man thing. It's just he's old. He queer doesn't mean the same thing as everybody else.
I enjoy the book. I mean, I'll even say I liked the book. It's not my favorite interpretation. I think that the thing about it is some people this ruined Dark Knight Returns for me or whatever, and doesn't fucking ruin it. I don't think of it even in the same universe. This is supposed to be the prequel to it, but I still don't even think of it as the same universe.
Really?
So,
To me, it's still like I put all 5 Frank Miller books kind of together and go, that's it. It's his story. He can do whatever he wants.
I mean, I can see what he's trying to do here. I guess the thing with me, I mean, I still enjoyed the book. I still like it, and I own it. But my thing with it is, it just seems kind of like, because Batman, the thing with Batman is, from year one, that seems like a really realistic Batman. That seems kind of like a very, believable Batman. Batman had a learning curve, but at the same time, he still felt like Batman. I don't really know how far away this takes place after year one, but it's not that far away.
It's like 10 years, I think, if that even.
I don't think it's 10 years.
Because the weird thing is, Batman in that book, he feels like he's like 40 years old, but he's technically, I think, only like 30.
Maybe it is weird. 10 years, but people are still talking about this Batman like he's a new. I guess it would have to be a little later because
maybe only a year or so or two.
Well, I guess it would have to be just a little bit later because. No, it would have to. You're right. It would have to be later because Jim has his son, James Jr., who's only a little boy. He's like, this is my first kid. He's my boy, and then
and Barbara's already grown up.
She's already like 15
or something.
So this would have to be at least 16 years later. But still, so this Batman is prime. But people are talking about it like this Batman figure. Have you heard of this Batman figure? Now, I guess if you break it down, it gets a little confusing that way. But then like everybody's kind of like, Batman seems to be kind of like he's doing things I don't think Batman would really do, like flat out kidnap a kid. Like, guess what, boy, you're joining the war. I mean, it's enjoyable. It's an alternate universe, so it's kind of, I look at it as that aspect. It's not main Batman, but because I don't think Batman would do that, and then every time the boy says something stupid, it's just, you shut the fuck up, and it's just
well I know it's Frank Miller, and it's kind of like in the other ones, he always takes everything and pushes it to the extreme. It's not like he takes whatever characteristics that somebody has and pushes it just as far as it can go. It's kind of like Wonder Woman. It's like Wonder Woman, she hates men. She really fucking hates men so much that she has to say that with every other word she says. And Batman, he's kind of a douche who thinks he's the coolest guy on the planet. So let's push that so far that he's laughing and punching people and enjoying the hell out of it. Like, I love my fucking job. Which really, whenever I read that, though, I always just go, I think Frank Miller must have, watched our stuff, didn't tell anybody, fucking ripped us off. Because our stuff still came up before that did.
Our drunk Batman, when he's just... Yeah, I kind of got a little bit of that vibe, too. Once I read that book, I got a little bit of...
Because it literally, when I read that to me, I will say this, All-Star Batman and Robin, it seems like the prequel to Drunk Batman. It literally does. That literally seems like Drunk Batman, when he's not, when he still has money. The second that he loses money, he becomes Drunk Batman.
It almost seems...
Because he's just, the whole time, he's laughing, he's like, I love my job, punching people, breaking their bags. Come on, boy.
Well, I guess that's the thing, because that right there, you see, he's like, hey, yeah, I'm Batman, this is fun, where... the other one, where in Dark Knight Returns, it seems more of kind of like he tries, he can't avoid it. He can't run from it. It's more like he tries to, and it's not even so much that he wants to be Batman. He just can't do anything but be Batman. You know what I mean? So, and he's kind of living this, it's one of those things like he wants to live like a happy life, but he knows he just can't. So he's going to keep on being Batman. That's how I kind of interpret it in Dark Knight Returns. Where this right here, it's just more like, being Batman's fucking awesome. I'm going to set these cops on fire. Fuck them. So,
I fucking hate cops. Can't trust them. There's only one good cop out there. The rest of them are all a bunch of fucking idiots.
Mm-hmm, yeah. And so,
because sometimes it's that thing, because it's just like, and then whenever any other superhero shows up, it's like, there's Hal Jordan, the dumbest fuck on this entire planet. They just hand those rings out like it's been a fucking Cracker Jack box. First there was there was Hal, the moron. Then there was the redneck. Then there was the black guy. Jesus Christ, he's just giving out to anybody now. It's just like, okay, boy, I want you to paint this wall. He's a good boy. He painted that wall in less than an hour than I thought he would. Painted it yellow. Guess what? Come on, Jordan. I got a special meeting for you. And the Jordan's like, hey, Batman, we just want you to kind of come to. Shut the fuck up.
I do, though, there are those scenes I like where he just painted himself yellow and he just being kind of like a condescending dick, just arms crossed.
You want some lemonade? It's nice and cool.
Yeah, I do like some of that stuff in that book. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's an enjoyable book. It's just, it's not traditional Batman. That's all you kind of got to go in saying. And, he does do some questionable things, but like I said, this is not mainstream Batman. Not even, and like I said earlier, I don't even think of this as, I can understand how, but to me, Dark Knight Returns it's still like a pocket universe, but it's still like kind of wherever Batman was at up to that point in the 80s, and this is where I think that even though it came out in the 80s, I'm not sure if it's supposed to take place in the 80s. I think it's supposed to be like it's from an 80s perspective, it's in the future, but somehow Reagan, just given the way politics were and times changed, that like he was still president.
It's supposed. I almost feel like it's in the 80s. I mean, like it was written in the 80s, but I almost feel like it's supposed to take place like
in the 90s,
5 years from. Yeah, like 1990 or something like that. Like not that far off, but just enough that
because like something happened in the Constitution that made it so you can be president for as long as you want, and Reagan was still president, and because things were still a little weird and different. So by this point, it took place like probably the 90s, maybe mid 90s. That's how I always interpreted that book.
Yeah, like one of those kind of like just slightly in the future from that time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like overall, it's like I think if you go into like the All-Star Batman and Robin and just take it for what it is, it's a fun one. It's like, sometimes like they write kind of like the only thing to me is always kind of weird thing. It's just like why everybody thinks everything's so queer. It's like
well, only Robin thinks everything's queer.
No, because also Black Canary thinks things are queer too.
Oh yeah, that's so queer. You never hear that anymore. Like you hear like
she's like
that almost sounds like that would be like one of those things like. He's like, it's almost there's that episode of like fucking Simpsons when Marge is trying to beat around the bush to tell Homer that John Waters is gay. And she's like, John is, it seems kind of like, he's like, they're trying to say gay without saying like, they're trying to find the politically correct term. He's kind of queer, you know what I mean? It sounds kind of like that.
Yeah, it's just that one where it's just like, everybody's like, you call it the Batmobile? That's queer. It's like, why is that? Like, why is that?
He wants to say that's fucking gay, but he just knows that's going too far, so he's not going to do it. Well, how could I be insulting yet be politically correct in the same time?
The funny thing too is because they make Barbara Gordon just like fucking this and fucking that shit and shit fucking balls and like that's like there's like the one section where that's all she's doing, like every other word's like fuck this and fucking A and shit fuck. And it just keeps going on. Like,
I remember she said you have to be really good at bullshitting your dad. I remember that line, but I don't remember.
Fuck. Well, there's a part. Well, I mean, they black it out, but like, I mean, that's what it's saying though. It's just she's battling those thugs, and it's just like fucking shit, fuck this, fuck that, like. And I guess that's just Frank Miller going like, "This is how kids talk."
Well, when I'm getting my ass kicked in any Arkham game. That's what I'm kind of saying. I'm just imagining Batman like, "Fuck you, fuck like it's you." It's almost when you're at that point in the game where you're going against a really hard like fucking boss, and you get the plastic away from the microphone.
But no, it's like one of those ones where yeah, not like that bothers me, but just it's just in there like that, just like that's how kids talk. Makes sense. But no, I personally I like that one. I gotta figure out what those other 6 issues are though, because I've always wanted to finish that. And I just thought it ended like that, and they just never came back.
They changed the name of it. It's something else, but it's like I think it's like Dark Knight / Boy Wonder or Batman / Robin. It's something kind of like that, and it's just another couple issues to just conclude that story. And it went on hiatus for like a year or 2 years.
Huh. But I'm kind of getting prepared for, what do you think about the Dark Knight Master Race one coming out, the third one?
I gotta go out and read Strikes again to prepare myself for that, because technically I'm like, oh my god, there's another one coming. I'm like, oh wait a minute, that's right. This is technically number 3, so I gotta go read number 2 just to see what that's all about. And I read the synopsis on 2, and it sounds kind of like Frank Miller just really likes to shock people and kind of cause. I mean, not really. I guess how do you I can't really judge it because I haven't read it. Just it's entirely a different book from Dark Knight Returns. So I guess I don't know. I got to read it before I can totally judge it. But it just seems like so fucking weird. Just flip through that book. It looks like someone left Frank Miller in a room with some kind of After Effects program and paint, and then like a big pile of cocaine.
No, it is literally like, hey, Frank, have you ever used a computer before? No. Well, dude, check out what you can do with it. He's like, the fuck? Oh, my God, look at this. Look at the gradients here. They're fucking awesome. Do you know how fucking hard that is to draw? Yeah, Frank, it's a computer. You have the future right here. I'm fucking writing a new Batman book. Give me some cocaine. Let's do this.
Well, this is like
And he just...
Go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off.
I was just saying, he just keeps going on with it.
Well, that one right there, I'll say, like I said, I got to actually read the thing first. I kind of know all the major plot points. So I'm just curious about it. This is one of those, because one of those books I'd flip through it. I'm like, I don't know if I want to actually spend money on this, because I mean, I like his art style in Dark Knight Returns. I don't like it in Strikes Back. And part of me, when reading a comic, sometimes I can force down the images if I like the story enough. But I really just don't like what I'm looking at that much when I flip through Strikes Again. So that's been one of the biggest things from getting me to read that book. Now.
It is one of those ones, like, you can buy it pretty cheap, like, used. Like, I think I bought it for $5 off Amazon. And that's why I was just like, for $5, hell yeah, I'll check out what this is all about. I'm like, it just felt like one of those books at some point you gotta read, like, just the know.
And then I guess this one, I think it's Brian, is it Brian Azzarello who is doing all the artwork for this one, I think. Somebody else is.
It's him and Klaus Johnson. I don't know if he's doing just the inking, but
yeah. So so Frank Miller is just doing the writing for this, and then he's doing some of the different pages and some of the different covers. Which, I mean, I'm not gonna be one of those people that totally hates on Miller. I think he's said and done some weird shit over the last couple of years. Like I'm not sure for what reason. He said, like, when the whole Occupy was going on, he posted like a tweet or something like, all the Occupy movement should be dragged down and shot like the rapists and thieves they are. Just like, what the fuck? But I'm not going to let that one comment kind of ruin everything else he's done, because he's made a lot of stuff I like. Now, I haven't read it, but like Holy War, for instance, that was originally going to be a Batman book. That was originally about Batman going out, like, as I heard, I don't know if this part's true. I think that when he made Dark Knight Strikes Back, he was originally writing one story. Then 9/11 happened, and that just completely skewed his view, or he just changed the story midway point just because he felt, in some way, maybe he doesn't say it directly, but it kind of just changed the overall outcome of that story. And then later, he did Holy War. Mm-hmm. And Holy War was me about Batman tracking down terrorists and brutally killing them. And then, which I don't think, I mean, I understand it's Frank Miller Batman, but I still don't see him doing that. And I guess it's one of those things, kind of like, he made the dark Batman, so what does the guy that make the dark Batman do? He makes him even go fucking darker and killing people. And I think from there, though, that like DC's like, no, we're not letting you fucking do this. So he kind of made his own characters, like, all right, this is meant to be Batman, but these are other characters in here. And now he has this book coming out, Master Race, which that's already a very controversial title, but we'll see what it's all about. I can see the poster, from what I've seen, they've shown some variant cover art, but the main image is like a silhouette, like a very Frank Miller style silhouette of Batman kind of hanging on like a very small wire with a bloody Superman S behind him.
Yeah, well, because Frank Miller just really hates Batman, or not Batman, I mean Superman, it seems like, because it's always just like, fucking Superman doing this, Superman doing that. You're so good, so special. If I had powers like that, I'd kick him in the fucking balls. Just like, that's what you do with the powers? Yeah. What would you do with it?
I just kick superpower people in the balls all day. It's what I fucking live for.
Boy, I can't find that other Batman, like, secondary one to it, though. Even though, I will say this, Comixology has, like, a shitty search engine for, like, when you're trying to search for, like, an artist or a writer. Because it's like, oh,
no, I know.
He's
I found out about it on Wikipedia. It was I think they just tried to sweep it under the rug. Like, okay, this is for the 6 people that want this thing included. So I found it, like, linked through it on Wikipedia. I'm like, All-Star Batman and Robin, Frank Miller, whatever, So check that out. But no, I mean, I'm curious about Master. I'm wondering what's going to happen. I mean, regardless, I think it's going to piss people off, because whenever Frank Miller goes back to Batman, everybody's really. It's kind of like I think it's one of the things, like, when you make something as amazing as Dark Knight Returns, people just lose their it's like one of those things, if you do anything different, people just, like, kind of people just get really, it's not the same thing. I was like, well, it can't be the same thing. He was in a different place at that point in his life when he made this thing. Now, I will say that year 1 is very different from Dark Knight Returns. But I think it's so drastically different, and it's kind of an early point that and it was still, I think people were just still interested enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. Well, I think it's that thing, even though people kind of might have not cared for All-Star Batman and Robin or Dark Knight Strikes Again, it is, no matter what, it's kind of like, when you hear the name Frank Miller's doing something, you're still interested. It's kind of like a George Lucas. If George Lucas came out and said, hey, I'm going to be directing and writing this movie, no matter how much people kind of gave him flack, everybody'd be interested, though.
He I want to say there's that movie Red Tails, which I never saw, but
it was actually pretty good. I liked it.
You liked it? I want to say because he didn't he only produced it, and did he write it?
I think he just produced it.
Did he write it at all?
I think he was one of the writers. I almost want to say on it.
Mm-hmm.
He might just did story by, because sometimes he kind of does that.
I think
he doesn't actually write the script, but he's like, here you go, black people in planes. Boom,
just as far as I got.
It's but slap my name.
That's the title. We'll work something else around it, George. Okay, we appreciate.
How about Red Tails? That's what they're flying. No, black guys in planes. Believe me, that's gonna sell real well.
That's what he said about fucking Jar Jar. Yeah, I know. Okay, George. Okay. Look, he's not looking. They just white it out. Red Tail. Okay, there we go. But I think that movie, because when that movie came out, some people were shitting on it, and I think that's where he's like, you know what, fuck it, I'm done. That's when he just was altogether done with film. So. And I never saw it, but I know that it had the Lucasfilm logo on it and all that to help bring people in. They're trying to go that big adventure kind of adventure World War II movie vibe. Was ever since then. So ever since Saving Private Ryan, they've always been kind of a lot more darker and all that. Where I think this one looked like it was trying to be more of a big 70s adventure war film you'd occasionally see The Great Escape or something like that.
No, yeah, it had a similar vibe to all that, but I thought it was pretty entertaining and fun. Some people for some reason didn't care for it that much, but I don't know, a bunch of plane action, how are you not going to like that?
Well, I got to see it before I judge it, but yeah, I just heard that that's the movie that made him just kind of go away from film just because he didn't like the way people. He's like, I'm just fucking done. I can't please nobody anymore. I'm just going to go off, live in a cabin, and chop wood.
Which probably I understand kind of where it goes. Is the other day I think I was talking about we were just talking about new bands coming out with albums and stuff, and I think Kyle said he's like, I wonder if there's going to be a new Metallica album coming out. He's like yeah, there hasn't been one for a long time. It's he's like, I wonder why that is. I'm like, well, it probably gets to this point that when the last 4 albums you released, everybody seemed to shit on them for about the last 20 years. It kind of makes you probably not want to go back in the studio and write another one, because you realize that you'll make so much money off your old stuff anyways. You can always tour, and people will be fine with that. But there probably comes a point, it's just why even make an album? Because I know what's going to happen. We're going to record these songs. We're going to really enjoy them. We're going to be really into it. We're going to release it out there, and people will be like, this is fucking stupid. This ain't Kill 'Em All. Fuck this shit. Fuck you, Metallica. You fucking suck big balls. Bye. And I could see after a while that you just don't want to put up with that anymore. Just you know what? We're fine at what we're doing. We don't have to write music for these people that clearly aren't going to care enough for it.
I think that every once in a while, I can't always tell myself if I am being. I mean, I don't care. I like the music regardless, because a lot of times I'll be interested when an old band puts out new music, and a lot of people just kind of roll their eyes it's done, just stop, or it's not the same thing, just stop. Where I don't know if I'm being just too maybe I'm just the odd one out. I'm well, just give it a shot. Let's see what it's like. I like the new Smashing Pumpkins stuff. I'm not gonna say the new Smashing Pumpkins stuff is their best stuff. It's not even so much Smashing Pumpkins anymore. It's more Silly Billy and his wild friends. Silly Billy Corgan or whatever. But it's just kind of it's not really. I know it's not really the Smashing Pumpkins, but I mean, it's still Billy Corgan, and it still has some of that vibe to it, and it's still I enjoy it. Another one, for instance, is some people complain about a lot of new Springsteen. Now, I'll be honest, Darkness on the Edge of Town is probably my favorite Springsteen album, and Nebraska is probably behind that. But I'm not going to lie, I really enjoy the fuck out of Magic and Wrecking Ball. I think both those albums are really good. And the newer one, which was Tom Morello, was on 7 of the tracks. Higher, I think I forget what it's called, but there's the one that came out, I think, last year. And Tom Morello was on a couple of the tracks. That one was pretty good, too.
Mm-hmm. No, I thought that was pretty good. And I'm one of those people, I'm fine. Dude, why complain about getting more? You know what I mean? Even if it's not the greatest stuff, you're getting more. What's wrong with...
High Hopes. That was the name of it. High Hopes.
That was a good one. I enjoyed that too, but I don't know why some people just get so up in arms when they're going to release stuff.
Well,
I'll tell you this. I've been looking for that stupid Dark Knight, The Boy Wonder. I still can't find it. I don't know if that ever came out.
It's on Wikipedia. Look at their Wikipedia.
I see it on Wikipedia, and I also saw here on Wikipedia that, remember I was telling you about how there's all the swearing in the back.
Uh-huh.
Apparently they pulled that last issue 10 at first because it came out without it being blurred out.
Really?
So Barbara Gordon was just fuck balls and shit, fuck, the whole time, and they're whoa, Frank, what are you fucking doing?
It's what the kids want. I'm giving them what the kids want.
You ever talked to a 15-year-old girl before? She's fucking shit fucking balls all over the place. Like, that didn't make any fucking sense. Yeah, exactly. Kids don't make fucking sense. That's what I'm trying to get across here.
Have you looked beneath the meaning? Have you looked beyond the meaning? This is what every conversation is fucking like with Frank. Okay? Okay, Frank. Yeah, that's great. We'll see you Tuesday. You can't push me out, Dan DiDio. Okay, Frank. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Yeah, put some fucking censor bars over that shit. Every fucking day. It's every fucking print. We have to go through this. It's fucking ridiculous, man.
Well, here's the thing. I guess if I finish reading the paragraph, this is what it says. In October 2015, at the New York Comic-Con, Miller announced that he had just started working on the sequel of Lee.
Really? 2015?
Yep.
I thought I saw something that he already had it done, or I thought maybe not. I thought I already heard they had it done. Like it was already.
No, it sounds like they're trying for the last 4 years or 5 years since April 2010.
Okay, because they were talking about it then. They were talking about it then. It just didn't come out yet.
Well, I know they're doing a bunch of like, along with like the Master Race. There's a couple other little like short kind of like 2-issue stories that are going to circle it. So it might be part of that.
Maybe
because I think there's a lot of work going into that Master Race. You know, you're going to have. I was talking to the guy at Comic Book Store. He's like, you get these fucking hardcover editions. They're like $13 a piece of each one. And there's 6 of them. At the very end, they'll send you a slipcase. You can slide it in. And you'll have this awesome Master Race thing. You're like, oh, that's pretty cool. It sounds expensive, but
I don't know
cool.
if I want a big book in my collection that just says The Master Race in big bold letters. But
right next to Mein Kampf and your other collection. Well, good thing we learned that nobody's going to be out there going like, where the fuck is that All-Star Batman one that they said was out there as a sequel? It doesn't exist yet.
About it. They're talking about it I remember them talking about like, oh, it's coming out. I remember reading it years ago that it was coming out, so I assumed it was out by now. I guess it's not, but well, I guess a good another putting a period to it. But I was going to say real quick, not regarding comic books, but regarding like music. We were talking about like how older bands sometimes come out with newer stuff. You actually told me about this, and I didn't know about it. Just slid by me, and then I found out about it and downloaded the whole thing and loved it. Chris Cornell just came out with a new album.
Oh, and it's great. I've listened to it through about 5 or 6 times so far. I like it a lot.
So
you know what it reminds me of? It sort of reminds me of like an Eddie Vedder solo album, but with Chris Cornell singing. Like that's kind of how it feels.
To me, it feels. I sense a little bit of Eddie in there, but to me, it feels more of kind of like a Chris. It feels more of like a combination of his first 2 solo albums. It feels like a combination of Euphoria Morning as well as Carry On. It feels like those two meshed together because Euphoria Morning's a little bit more of kind of like slower kind of chill music and like with a little bit of grunge and psychedelic stuff in there, just a little bit. And then Carry On is kind of like more of like a little upbeat, a little faster, but it's not too hard. You know, it's faster. It's just a little bit louder, but not like metal loud. More of just like I guess kind of like it's more audio slave-ish, I guess you'd say. You know what I mean?
Well, the difference of this one, I feel, is that those other 2, they still had some of those audio slave / Soundgarden. You got a couple hard songs on there and some heavier songs. Mm-hmm. Where this one's like all kind of has like a folk sound to it. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's to me, I always feel like that's kind of like the Eddie thing to do is just like, you know, me and my ukulele traveling the world. Well, not really. We're fucking not leaving Hawaii. Fuck you. You know, where this one kind of had that sort of feel to it. I mean, like, you know, Eddie Vedder and Chris Cornell, they both sing differently, but, you know, they always kind of feel like similar guys. But no, overall, it's like these songs, there's like 16 songs or something on this album. It's a fucking long-ass one. Takes like an hour and a half to go through the whole thing.
Yeah, I listened to it several times already. I think it's a pretty damn good album.
Yeah, and I think it came out at the very end of September or something like that. But I was just like, I wonder if Chris Cornell has... No, I heard it on the radio. I just heard it, I was like, that sounds like fucking Chris Cornell. So I looked it up, and I was like, oh, dude, he's got another album? And we'll take a break.
Yeah, I was... Yeah. I was reaching... Because I know the songs, but I was reaching for my iPod to actually look at, to remember what the names of the songs are. Like, the 4th song was pretty good. Like, I think probably the most pop... I'm not going to lie. It's probably one of the more poppier songs on the album, but it's still really good tune. I think Before We Disappear is actually a pretty good one. That's the 4th song on the album. And that one's definitely kind of like... It's almost kind of like, I'm Chris Cornell. Look, one day we're all gonna die, so let's just try let's try and like fall in love before we do, which sounds kind of very like 60s like Flower Child, but it's actually the when you actually hear the way how he writes it, it actually is pretty good, you know. And there he has like a couple of like totally there's one called The Bend in the Road and Wrong Side, which are like they sound totally like folk songs, almost like something that Bob Dylan possibly would have wrote. You know what I mean? They don't sound like Bob Dylan songs, but kind of like Bob Dylan-ish lyrics, which they're both kind of like have this folky vibe. Bend in the Road seems to be more of just kind of break away from the grind of you know, being stuck in something you don't want to do. Wrong Side is more about, that's more of literally like one of those storytelling songs, like my father was killed in a coal mine, I one day got a gun, and you know, it's literally just a storytelling song. You don't hear very many of those anymore.
No, I always like those songs too.
Mm-hmm. If you actually by chance gone and listen to it on Spotify, because there's actually a little, it's not that long, but there is a conversation with, and I blew through it pretty quickly because there are only snippets of this conversation. It's like Chris Cornell and he's a big director. Chris Cornell and Cameron Crowe like talk, and they talk about like,
oh, is that who it is? I saw just a commentary and I was like, oh, cool, I should check that out at some point, and then I never did. But if that's Cameron Crowe, I'm like, oh, I should definitely check that out.
And they don't just sit there through the whole song, but they sit there just like these kind of little minutes, and just like Chris Cornell's talking about what he was going through when he was writing the songs. And it is a lot more folkier than his other stuff, but it's a little bit more like, I think you kind of like, it almost sounds kind of like Eddie Vedder kind of style writing, but it has a little bit of that vibe from his first two solo albums. And he altogether, I think, left that third album just like, yeah, I was trying something different, didn't pan out, moving away from Scream.
Well, it's one of those ones, you can't go into this album expecting Soundgarden. You got to expect that you're going in for folky singer-songwriter Chris Cornell. Because if you go in there expecting Soundgarden, I feel like you might be like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, why is he playing with acoustic guitar the whole time?
I think you can kind of go in expecting kind of like more. I think his best examples of what this whole album sounds like. It sounds like a little bit of Euphoria Morning, a little bit of Carry On, as I said earlier, but a lot of actually kind of like just singles he did for different movie soundtracks, like Seasons,
like
singles, like the song he did for Singles, that song Seasons. And then
Sun Shower for
Great Expectations.
Yeah, Great Expectations, which is like, I think is my favorite Chris Cornell song on like a movie that's not really that grand of a movie. The story is a cool story because I've never read the book, but I've seen different variations of that story, and I think that story is interesting, but that movie is just kind of like the weird like 90s version of it.
Plus, the poster just looks like the guy who's the main character. It looks almost like a horror story because he looks like the fucking Wolfman, you know, groaning. He has like weird, crazy Einstein hair, and then there's like this very yuppie blonde girl just kind of sprawled out, kind of looking all sexy, you know.
Yeah, and then it's got Robert De Niro in it as the convict guy.
Oh, yeah, Robert De Niro's a convict guy.
Yeah, it's kind of cool because Robert De Niro's like in the bayou hiding out, and then as he's a kid, he like pops up and grabs a kid, and the kid lets him go free, and it's like, oh, okay. And then later on, that ends up helping him out, you know, way in the future. The best interpretation of it is the South Park episode of it. Like, that explains it really well.
There is no Genesis device, though.
Well, yeah, then there's no, like, robot monkeys either, but still, that makes it even better, though. But that Pip episode, that's one of my favorite South Park episodes. And Strange Death, I remember on the commentary, they said this is one of our, like, least received episodes. And they always say, like, for some reason, if the episode doesn't have the boys in it, people mostly seem to go, like, fuck this shit.
Yeah.
No, I always like those episodes where they kind of take another character and go, hey, you don't have to have Cartman and Kyle and Stan and Kenny in it. You could literally just focus on Pip or Randy or something like that. Those are some of the best ones.
I like those ones, yeah. Like, or Tally, even the Tally episode, Million Little Five.
Yeah.
But I will say, though, but as far as the album goes, though, it does have he has, you know, there definitely is a lot more of like, this definitely feels like a lot more of like a, I almost feel like Soundgarden. I mean, even though I liked the newest album, I feel like at this point, Soundgarden seems like something like, oh, he enjoys it, but it's probably not his main passion. His main passion is probably his solo stuff, where he gets to do more emotional songs. Because Soundgarden is a little bit more of kind of like his, I mean, don't get me wrong,
it's like his youth.
I love Soundgarden, but it does seem a little bit more of kind of like let's party and fuck, And then there are the songs with more meaning to it, like like Black Hole Sun, and I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on Soundgarden songs right now, but songs off like I'm gonna say like Down on the Upside and Super Unknown are probably more the heavier Soundgarden ones with more heavier themes, or probably Bad Motor Finger, a little bit more like Rusted Cage and all that kind of stuff, where it is a little like let's fuck, let's do drugs, you know what I mean?
Yeah, let's get out there and punch somebody in the face.
Yeah, there's that one song like I'm gonna fuck you, like off Ultra Omega OK Go.
Yeah, on the very first album, like I'm gonna fuck you, and then the song just goes on for like 8 minutes or something like that.
There's a song called Nazi Driver, and there's another song that's like the cow goes moo.
No, yeah,
you know what a chicken looks like?
I actually thought
the
that
devil
last
goes.
Album, the Cornell one, I thought that was a fantastic one too. But it is, I think, to Chris Cornell, it's kind of like that's like me 20 years ago by now. And I think that, now he's like, what do I got to fight about? I'm doing good. I get paid still. I get these royalty checks from Soundgarden no matter what, because it's always still selling.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, life's good. Well, why complain so much?
Yeah, and I think his heart's always been more into like softer stuff. You know what I mean? That's why I think he really. Euphoria Morning, I never really hear people talk about. Carry On kind of came and went, and then like when he got to Scream, everyone was like, "Fuck that album," which I kind of understand. I mean, I like that album.
There's some good songs on that album. I'll say that though.
I like it. I don't love it. I'm even kind of stretching for that one because there's some songs that are actually pretty good. There's some
kind of weird.
I really got to be in the mood for it. You know what I mean? I just, for the first time, like in 2 years, or maybe even 3 years, I put that album on and just listen. Okay, this song's good. I'm like, oh, I forgot about this song. Ooh, I forgot this one too. Oh, this one's kind of cool. So it's like, if that was his whole career. It's
definitely varied, that album. We can say that.
Yeah. Or if there's a secret track on that, where if you wait long enough. Because the last song on that album is just about a chick who's like drunk and driving, like she's on the road, she's moving fast, and it has like a poppy vibe to it, like techno, like, well, what the fuck's going on? And if you wait long enough, it turns into like this song where it almost sounds like Chris Cornell at a piano on like a bar on the side of like the road in the middle of the desert, just singing a song about I'm 2 drinks away from crying, So it's like, I want a whole album of that Chris Cornell. Yeah, that's what I want.
That's and like saved there towards the end. That's a great one, yeah.
That's like and it's like a secret track on there. Like no one's gonna want, like Chris, no one's gonna want to hear you sing the blues. It's like I want to hear a Chris Cornell blues album. Fuck yeah.
It's kind of like there's that secret track. I think it's on the second Velvet Revolver album at the very end.
Oh, that's like the best.
Like, yeah, it's like one of the best songs on there. It's like that little country one, and you have to like fast forward it just to get there. But
I want to hear Scott Weiland just do a fucking country album or like a folk album because I love that song. That sounds like something kind of like the Stones would have done on Exile on Main Street. That album.
Yeah, it definitely has a big feeling like that. I think that's a really sweet thing. It's totally hit. Like I didn't even notice about it for a while. It's like, oh fuck, you just got to get to the very end there, and then that's where that song is. And so it's just the ones you would hear it just when you're like randomly listening to it, and then you're like, where the fuck is that song at? You like skip through. It's like it's not on any of these ones here. Mm-hmm. And then you realize, oh, it's hidden.
Mm-hmm. Which I'm at the point where at first it was kind of like hitting tracks. Like, oh, you kind of had to earn it. That's kind of cool. But now we're at the point like, no, just make it up its own fucking track. Just make it its own fucking track. It's fine.
Even though I guess nowadays just go click and you're just there at like 3:20 or whenever it starts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know it's not it's first world problems or
hidden tracks is what makes me angry.
Which I want to say this has nothing to do with what we were just talking about, just that complaint of just like stump problems. Like there's an episode, just this line just killed me. There's the season finale of Rick and Morty. At some point they're looking to go to another planet that's similar to Earth but not Earth. And they come up on this one planet and like, hey, look, that looks like Earth. You couldn't even tell. Yeah, I can tell. There's no Africa. Then like Rick says, oh, that's just white people problems. This is white people problems. It's like, oh my fucking god.
I gotta check that one out. I still have not been able to find the season set like in a store, but whatever.
I love that show. I think you generally. I mean, I hope I'm not blowing it up for you for when you watch it, but because it was one of those shows people talk about. I'm like, I'm sure it's good, but I'll see it when I see it. But it literally is like one of my favorite shows. One of the first times where I could watch a show, like, usually you watch like a season, like, oh, that was good, and then kind of go back to it later. I've rewatched same episodes over and over on that.
Just that good. I think they have it on Hulu right now, so might have to just check it out there. But yeah, for some reason I don't know why I can't find the DVD. At the one store I go to, because that's the only store that exists to buy stuff. But so if they don't have it, it's kind of like, well, you can buy it off Amazon. I'm like, I don't know what it is. Sometimes if you're in a store, you'll go, yeah, I'll take this. I want this. When you're like online, you would think that the online would actually be the easier way of buying, but sometimes you kind of think more, well,
yeah,
I guess I could always get this here. It gives you that feeling, like, it's not like it's not going to be there next time you go on. Where at a store, you might go, might not be here again. Might as well get it now.
I didn't think about that. That's a good point. But I will say I think you would like that show. It's just so fucking weird. But on top of it, it has like some of that really weird Adult Swim humor, but then it'll find times to actually be very kind of heavy and emotional, which you really wouldn't expect from a show like that. But it actually,
and I've heard that from like multiple people, because I think it's somebody on a podcast really likes that show too. I almost wanted to say it was Andy McElfresh who said that, because he seems to like a lot of those cartoons. I noticed, because you hear him talking about Venture Brothers and stuff like that, and I almost want to say that was him that said that. I don't know who else. Wasn't fucking Chris Jericho. I don't think so.
Christopher Titus would love Rick and Morty.
I love Christopher Titus, but he is kind of like, he literally I think is becoming like his dad without the alcohol problem and all those other things. But
he has the rage.
He just has like the old man rage. Even though I still like listen to every single one of his episodes, but I know for a fact he's not watching a cartoon show. He's literally that guy, be like, cartoons are for fucking kids. But no, I'll have to check that out at some point.
Yeah, it's a good one. I'm going to highly recommend it.
But yeah, well, that's probably a good place to wrap it on up at. Make sure to check out OldManOrange.com for more podcasts, cartoons, animations, and more, even though it's 2 there. But I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And we will see you some other time.
Later, folks.
Thanks for listening to the Old Man Orange Podcast. Check out our website at OldManOrange.com for even more podcasts, cartoons, videos, music, and more. Send us an email at OldManOrangePodcast@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review us on iTunes, Podomatic, or any of the other fine sites we might be located on. If you want to help out even more, click on the Amazon or GameStop links on our webpage before you make any purchases there. It won't cost you a penny, but it sends us a little something our way. Thanks again, and tune in next week for more Old Man Orange Podcast.